Hey guys, it's Bethany. I just had a quick training that I wanted to do for you guys really fast before I leave town. We are flying out tomorrow morning. So please don't look at my hair or my house. I don't think you guys can see it because it's a disaster right now because we're packing. But all week long, I've been thinking I needed to do this. And so I wanted to do it really quickly before I left, especially because I've been getting a lot of feedback from a lot of you with people that are interested in the business. So I just kind of wanted to go through what do you do? Let's say you do a party or an event or whatever you want to call it, and you have somebody that's curious about the business. So what do you do? I mean, what's the next step? So the biggest thing to remember, I know we always like step by step and we want a little outline and all this kind of stuff, but I'm going to give you guys some pointers, but really the biggest deal with this is to remember that this is a relationship business, okay? So it's about belly to belly, heart to heart. So I want you guys to feel a connection and go in that direction. So I want you to remember that. I mean, these are great pointers and great tips, but above all, follow your heart, follow your tug, and 99% of the time your tug is right, you guys. I am learning, the older I get, to listen to that tug and to follow it quickly because it is right most of the time. I mean, really, hardly ever is it wrong. Um, but anyway, so okay. So at the party, you go through your party, you do your deal or your event or whatever, and at the end, someone is like asking a lot of questions about the business. They're very curious. They are thinking they might want to do this. So what do? So here's what I do. I always hand them the opportunity brochure. I give that to them, the one with Cecilia Stoll in the front. I should have got one out. I could probably dig one out. But anyways, if you guys need to know what that is, just let me know. Um, I like to give them an Eye on Arbonne story, and usually I have in there that little flyer, is Arbonne right for you? Or is Arbonne for you? And the two-page little printout thing that is on Stacy's website, nvp.team.com. But I usually put those in there, and then that has the average incomes and stuff like that on that. I give that to them, and I kind of listen. I listen to what they're saying. I listen to why they might want to do this. And people usually tell you without maybe even realize they're telling you. And I always kind of jot little notes down on their profile sheet or on their order form just so I kind of remember who that person is and their story, a little bit of what, about them. So when I talk to them again, I know. And then the key is to set up an appointment to talk with them sooner rather than later. I try to set up that appointment that night, and then have that within the week. So I know that's not always possible, and sometimes you're not local, but you can do that on the phone with a three-way call with myself or, your upline or whoever that is. Even a sideline, if just having a third-party validation is always great. So if you can do that, if you can at all get somebody with you at the appointment or on the phone, that is really great. So, and then I drip, drip, drip on them. Most people need 6 to 7 exposures before they say yes to Arbonne. And let me tell you what an exposure might be. It might be a party. It might be a Discover Arbonne meeting or a call, a recording. It might be a live call. It might be like a three-way call with your sponsor. It might be the coffee appointment. It might be sampling the product. It could be reading an Eye on Arbonne story. It could be sending an email and they watch, some of those 2-minute Adventures in Arbonne clips. Any of those things. I'll tell you guys, for me, before I said yes, I heard about Arbonne from a girl I worked with. Then a roommate used it. And then I finally went to a party. Oh, and then we got baby products. And then I got a sample. And I tried the sample. Then I went to a party. And then I went to a car presentation. So I think that's 6. I think that was 6. But before I said yes and signed up. So, that all happened within a 2 to 3 week period. But you guys, I mean, I always drip on people. Sometimes it takes a week. Sometimes it takes a year. Sometimes it takes 9 years. It did for my best friend. She still didn't sign up, but now she'll use products. She still won't do a party. But anyway, I drip on them every little bit. So, okay. So let's say we're going to fast forward to the meeting. So let's call it the coffee appointment or the phone appointment. But the one that you set up because they're curious. And these are some of the things that I kind of go through in my mind and what I do with them. The first thing is I ask questions, okay? Let them talk and you listen because they will tell you why they want to do this. They will give you all their reason why probably as you're talking and getting to know them. And it's about a relationship, you guys. It's really easy for people to quit a business, but it's difficult for people to quit a family. And I like to think of us as a family, a little Arbonne family. But this is relationship. You want to know who's going to be on your team, and you want to know what makes them tick and what's important to them because that's life. And this is important, and this is more than selling products. This is about life, and doing life together. So let them talk and you listen. Here's some good things that you can say. Melanie gave me some of these tips, but some of these I use myself. I'm so glad to get to know you a little better, ... Tell me a little about you and what intrigued you about the business, ... Tell me what you're looking for from this opportunity. Just ask. Ask what they want. Do they want $200 a month? Do they want $10,000 a month? What are they looking for? And that will kind of give you a good idea of where to go with that. You will hear most of the common objections and also their why if you are asking and listening. So let me here's another thing. Here's a couple other verbiage tips. Let me tell you what this is and what this isn't. Sometimes people want to know. That kind of also, it kind of de-arms them so they don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in this meeting and she's going to tell me everything I have to do right now. It kind of, gives them, puts them at ease, I guess is what I want to say. Another thing is I don't know about you, but I don't have time for hobby money. So this is kind of, if you hear that they are really kind of serious about this, you can say something like that. This doesn't have to be a little tiny bit of mall money. This can be serious, and it can be that within the next year for them. If I'm going to give up time, if I'm going to give up what time I have, I want it to count. And then you can even bring in things like you're listening. So some people will say, you want to help take the burden off your husband, just like you said. I want to be able to pay for private school, things like that. They'll tell you. These are all things that I've heard people tell me. So some of the most common objections people will have is, number one, how do I do this with little money? I don't have any money. I really want to do this business. And let me just tell you guys, if you had to have loads of cash to start this business, there would probably be, I don't know, a quarter of the people in Arbonne that are in Arbonne. Half the people that do this business because they need money, more than half probably. But, Cami Lee started with $14 in her bank account. She was a region in 6 months. Yes, she worked hard. She doubled the recipe. She did 16 parties a month. But 6 months later, she was free. So I'm just saying it's possible to do this. And I always tell people when they say they don't have a lot of money, you know what? If you're willing to put forth some effort, if you're willing to do 2 or 3 launch parties right in a row, we can bunch those together and you can get the Hostess rewards and you can get all of your product that you need to start with a huge discount. Okay? If you guys need help knowing how to do that, just let me know. Number 2 objection is, how do I do this with no time? Okay? This business is great because you get to work it in the nooks and crannies of your life. 90% of the people that start this business start it working a full-time job. So it's really possible to do this with little time. You get to schedule it in your schedule. So, and a good example of that is Carlita Nelson. If you don't know her Eye on Arbonne story, go look it up. But she worked a huge full-time job. I think she was a pediatric nurse, or I can't remember, something with pediatrics and nursing. But she worked full-time, and her husband worked full-time. And so she told her kids, listen, I know it's going to be crazy for the next 6 months, but bear with me. Mom's going to be really busy on the weekends, but it's only going to be for a short amount of time. And she did. Every weekend, she would book out 2, 3, 4 parties each weekend. And she did that for about 6 months. But after that, she got to quit her job. So, it was crazy for about 6 months. but then she was free. So number three main objection is I don't know anyone. And there's a great trainer, Patrice Madison, and she does a little five-finger party. And people say they don't know anybody. Here's a great way they can do that. Host their own party. And think of 5 kind of areas in your life that you're in, like let's say church, invite one person from church. School, your kid's school, invite one person from your kid's school, or co-op or whatever if you homeschool. 3, like let's say your bank or something like that. So 5 different things, you know, the gym, whatever. 5 places that you interact with people, and then invite one person from each of that and invite them to your own house for a party. And then once you do that party, ask them to host, because you know people are a lot more willing to host once they've been to a party, because frankly they're really fun. So, and then the 4th one is, what if this doesn't work? And let me tell you that I have sat down with several husbands and they've asked me straight out, okay, so what if she doesn't make any money? What's the worst case scenario? Are we going to be out thousands of dollars? What's the deal? And honestly, you guys, the worst case scenario is somebody pays $79 to sign up. What if they bought their products to do their business? Okay, so they bought an RE9 set, they bought a sea salt scrub, they bought some protein shakes and fizz sticks and a makeup primer. You know, the bare essentials. What if they spent the money and they bought those things? Worst case scenario, they have products that they're going to use anyway, and they got them at a big discount. So, you know, there really isn't, and I've had 2 different husbands sit down with me and ask me, like, a couple of times just to make sure. They're like, so really, what happens? You know, what's the worst case scenario? I'm like, really, the worst case scenario is you guys get to buy great products that you use anyway at a discount all year long. You know, if nothing else, that's what it is. So that's always one that the men like to hear about. So, okay. And then once you have listened to, you know, what they want out of this, you'll have a better idea of where to go and how to talk to them. You know, not everybody can have a vision for MVP right away. You know, a lot of times people will say, you know, an extra $1,000 a month would be huge. And that's basically looking at an area manager check. And so you can kind of map out from there. I always kind of tell people, look, this is what it looks like. You know, let me show you how this works and how anyone can do this, even without knowing a lot of people, even without having a lot of extra time. And I map out how to get to district. And, you know, that's really simple. That magic number, $2,500, if you're doing 8 parties a month, you're doing a couple of samples, and you're meeting with a few people, like, really, if you're getting out there in front of that many people every month, $2,500 is not difficult to meet. It's when you're not doing those things that it gets challenging and frustrating. But if you really are doing that, your maintenance, the $2,500, is not difficult. And so I show them how they can get that magic number. They do that twice in a row. They get to district. And then the beauty is that they do that, and then they help somebody else do that. And the next month they help somebody else do that and train the next person to do the same. And just by doing that and teaching, you know, 3 or 4 other people to do that, they're going area. And that's how they get, you know, that $1,000 a month. So, and I usually do kind of walk through the average incomes and the time to reach those levels. You know, I try not to get a bunch of paperwork out or anything like that. That's really the only kind of paperwork that I bring. And I don't even necessarily bring it because I know it by heart now. But, you know, you can write that on a napkin for them. But you guys, if nothing else, you know, ask for a booking. They'd probably be willing to host a party. Invite them to the next Discover Arbonne meeting, the next call, anything like that. If they're curious, have them listen in to our Sunday night calls or our team calls or whatever it is, just to get a feel for the Arbonne culture and what it is. Because any of you that have been around the culture, which most of you have been around for a bit now, it's like nothing I've ever been around. And you guys, I've done a lot of leadership kind of stuff in my life. You know, I led summer mission trips. I was an RA in college. I just stuff like that, you know. But this culture is like nothing I have ever been around, and it's it's addictive. I mean, the more you're around it, the more you want to be around it because it's so uplifting. It's so unlike anything that is the norm in our culture that people are drawn to it. And so I think that's powerful. I really do. I think it's powerful because the culture like draws people in. Not in a weird way. This is sounding funny. But anyways, all that to say, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of verbiage, some tips on how I talk to people. If at all possible, get a third person there just to have that validation. You know, not to gang up on them, but just to let them know that this is real. These are real people. This is my real friend who's really doing this, whatever. And I'm always happy to get on a call with you guys. If at all possible, I would love to do that with you. I'm more than happy to do it, to answer questions, to just ask them questions, get to know them. I love that. So heart to heart, belly to belly, find a connection, go in that direction. This is about relationship, you guys. Yes, there's great verbiage here. I gave you some tips, but bigger than that, listen. Listen to what they're telling you because they are telling you why they need this and why they want this. Even if they don't realize it, even at parties, you know, people's body language at the sea salt scrub. When I ask them what they do for work, their body language is telling me they want to do something different. You know, they're looking for a change and they're looking for a way out. So they may not realize that it's Arbonne yet, but it's our job just to offer that gift. And if they choose to take it, then it's so exciting. But anyway, that's all. I love you guys. Have a great night. Bye.